CEO of P3 Tech Consulting, and we are back live at the Energy, Drone, and Robotics Coalition Summit here in Petro Metro, Houston, Texas. And we gave this a go yesterday. You cannot see that because it was so awful, I deleted it. So hopefully this live stream will go well, and we're kind of taking it from the top. We have got with us Lori DeMatteis, the global, very long title, the Global Vice President of Sales, Marketing, and Customer Success at Iris Automation. And Lori is amazing. She was actually our guest on the Dawn of Drones podcast in March because Iris sponsored that month, which was Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Accessibility Month. So Lori, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you to all the audience, and look forward to talking to everybody. It's been a great show, Dawn, and really appreciate seeing you and seeing everybody on the floor, and just amazing groups of panelists and discussions.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was just talking to Sean Gare on the Dawn of Drones, and I was like, no pun intended. It's super high energy here. And so, Lori, before we kind of talk about why Iris is here, why y'all are showing here at this very kind of niche event, tell us just very briefly about yourself.
Sure. As Dawn said, yes, my title is great. Just talk about it as customer, everything customer. But it's really, that's what I do. And I've always done it on a global basis. So it's really neat to be able to do this in this leading edge and emerging technology field.
She's so humble and like just basically told you nothing about herself, but she's just amazing. So Iris Automation, I know what y'all do, but why don't you tell those folks out there that may not know what Iris brings to the table?
We like to talk about that we bring safety into the aviation sector, be it general aviation, be it unmanned, be it manned. We do an interesting technology, all electro-optical, deep learning, machine learning AI algorithms through our 5 patents and 2 pending. I'm really excited about that, Donna. I don't even think I told you that.
No, you didn't. I didn't know you had two more things out. You guys just released the ground-based surveillance system.
Yes, we just released ground-based, and in February we did the GA with Becker. So what we do a detection, we do an alert, we do an identification, and then if so desired, we do that avoidance maneuver. On the show floor, we just introduced our relationship with Volatus. So we're completely integrated with their drone-in-the-box solution. We're integrated with Percepto, been testing with FPL. So very exciting times.
Wow. You know, you mentioned Volatus, and we were talking on just now with Sean about the Scorpion drone. Did you see that thing? I mean, you can't miss it. So Steve Dixon, Full Throttle, Texas guy, put this thing out, and it's ginormous. And they're working with Volatus too. And I feel like Volatus is almost becoming like the Scorpion. Like they're just getting so big. And I'm glad you're working with them because they're doing great things. So Lori, why? I mean, obviously you said you're here with, you're working now with Volatus, and they're here too. But why EDRC? Why is Iris here at this show?
Well, I think that this is an important show from the standpoint of being able to talk to end users. A lot of times we're working with OEMs, but the end users don't have a chance to talk with us. So this is their opportunity to come in and spend some time. But what's important is that this industry really needs the help of what the sensors and the being at the edge technology brings. And the ROI returns are absolutely amazing. And so as the EPA is becoming more restrictive, as the FAA needs to be able to have information and technology, these are the use cases that can change the dynamics and keep the United States on a leading edge. Yep. And that's why we're here, is because we have leading edge technology and we want to help those leading edge customers.
Yeah, and they're walking around. I saw Shell, Chevron. I mean, you name it, oil and gas, other energy sector companies have their folks here, and they're looking. So that's really cool. So speaking of looking, as you walked around the floor and you went to some of the educational sessions, is there anything that kind of stood out from either technology or something you learned or heard that you'd like to kind of share as being maybe interesting or unique?
Well, a couple of things come to mind. First of all is, like, I had somebody with me yesterday that was talking about how with the new requirements in the United States, there is no way he can physically make the new requirements of having inspections on top of his refineries on a monthly basis. He's got 85 different blades to examine on a monthly basis, and he doesn't even have enough manpower. He couldn't even hire enough manpower.
Wow.
So that's some of the things that are happening from a technology standpoint that technology can help and support. From other interesting facts is that it seems now that the industry is here technology-wise. We're here on a regulation front, and everybody wants to move forward. And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
everything is lining up. All the different partnerships in the ecosystem, everything from having weather to our technology on safety to the new drones technology that's safety with some of our pairings. So that's what's really exciting, is to see that everything is really set to take off. Pardon the expression.
No pun intended, but you know, the word collaboration comes to mind, and you mentioned some of your partners. So when you leave here, Lori, how do folks get in touch with Iris Automation? How do they follow you?
Just go through our website, just type in sales at Iris Automation and put a require in, and you can reach us at any time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Great to see you again, Lori.
Thank you.
All right, we're swapping out chairs here, and we'll go ahead and grab the next one on the list. We've got a bunch of people lined up to talk to you all today. So Easy Aerial, Kirby Rutherford is here. And we actually, Kirby, you don't know this probably, but we were just talking about you and Easy Aerial because Ido, your CEO, Ido Gur, was on my panel on critical infrastructure and how drones and related technologies are making such a difference in the energy sector for critical infrastructure. So say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I appreciate you having me on, Dawn. And I'm a big fan of the podcast, the Dawn and Drones podcast and everything. And I think everything that you've been doing at P3 has been very, very good for the industry, and especially for aviation and for women in aviation and the UAV industry in general. So I appreciate it all.
Well, thank you very much, Kirby. And, you know, fun fact, everybody, I met Kirby at AUVSI Exponential. I believe it was Topgolf, perhaps.
Yes.
And, you know, that's when I really met a lot of your team. And you all received the AUVSI Excellence Award there. Is that right?
Yes, we won the award for our Raptor drone. Our drone is an optionally tethered system that gives you the ability to release the tether and then go into free flight. So say you have an operation where you're having surveillance for 24 hours straight on maybe a construction site, or maybe doing fire detection or something like that, and you want to be able to release the tether, you can do that, and the drone can go off into free flight. So yeah, we won the Excellence Award for hardware design, which was very exciting.
That's really cool. And y'all are blue, designated by the Defense Innovation Unit as Blue UAS as well.
Yes, correct. So ever since that came through, we've been getting a lot more inbound about people, you know, within government agencies and all those things wanting their municipalities to have an all-American made product. And it's been fantastic for our company. So yeah.
So tell us, you know, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in Easy Aerial.
Absolutely. So before this, I worked at another tech company that was based in AI, more so in ground transportation. And it was easy to make the move to Easy Aerial, bringing that sensor data experience and all of that. And I found Easy Aerial as an awesome startup that had an innovative product that wasn't something that people, you know, all over the world knew about. It's something that needed awareness and needed more people to talk about. So I was very interested in the UAV industry, and I come from a military family. And my brother, he works at a think tank in DC where he writes articles on drones all the time. So it was something that was very familiar to me. And I kind of just jumped at the opportunity. So I really like it. It's great.
Well, that's so cool. Now, you mentioned some of these use cases for your drone, kind of public safety and things like this. You're at an energy conference. So tell us why y'all are showing here.
We are really wanting to break into the oil and gas industry even more. And I mean, there's so many different use cases that could go into oil and gas, whether it's, you know, emissions or doing inspections, things like that, as well as perimeter security of some of these oil rigs and things. So you can do tower inspection, all of those types of use cases. And it's something that we want to break into even more and see it as a large opportunity for the company.
Well, that makes a ton of sense. So let me ask you this. To the extent that you actually got away from your own booth and got to walk around the floor a little bit or hear some of the different talks. So what, is there anything that's jumping out at you as being really interesting that you've learned so far?
I was very intrigued by the amount of different LiDAR companies that are out there. A lot of the different payload companies that are on the floor. I was expecting more so just specifically drones or people that work in a software field that relates to oil and gas. But I think it was very interesting to learn a little bit more so about the different payloads that are coming in, methane detection, things like that. And I thought that was very intriguing. And also, all the big players that are walking around from the major oil and gas companies, that was an awesome thing to see the show, bring in. So.
Yeah, no, you raised a great point. We're just talking about that with Sean. It's all about the data, and the data obviously comes not necessarily from the hardware itself; it's from those sensors. And methane detection and so many other things are so key to this industry. The energy sector in general. So very cool. So last but not least, is Kirby, how do people reach you or follow Easy Aerial after the show?
So we have a couple different ways to be reached. We can be reached at our website, which is www.easyaerial.com. But we also have a partnerships model, which I help run in tandem with a couple of my bosses. They have set up this distributor model, which we then can be reached by distributors and partners and everything, and that's partners.easyaerial.com. And lastly, our phone number is 1-833-EASY-UAV. So pretty easy to remember, no pun intended. But yeah, those are our main lines of communication.
Well,
to contact us.
Before I let you go, there's one thing I also wanted to say. We announced, Sean and I, that I'm going to be doing a Law Tech Connect workshop here at AUV at EDRC next year, energy focused.
Okay.
I did the original one at AUVSI, and I just want to let everybody know that Easy Aerial actually was one of our scholar supporters for that program, and we're hoping to expand that this year. We had a number of students and faculty members that Caresoft, which you guys are a Caresoft company, supported, and then Easy Aerial actually paid the lodging and travel of 3 students, because y'all have a sister school, shall we say,
yes,
out in Queens, New York, and we had 3 aeronautical engineering students come to the event. So that was huge, and I wanted to thank you publicly for that.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And it was great for us to be able to bring them on. I think at least 2 of the 3 are working for us now as interns this summer. So it was great to bring them down there, got them even more excited about the UAV industry. And they're really the future of what this industry is going to bring. They've got great ideas and want to innovate the technology and everything. So it was fantastic to bring them down to Orlando and get them more involved in the community.
Well, that was perfect. So thank you so much, Kirby.
Yes,
it was great to see you. All right. Thank you. We're gonna bring Ed Bucas over when we talk about kind of the workforce of tomorrow. You think about the companies that are breaking into this industry. Ed is the CEO of Robotics, and they are a new entrant to the drone industry, and they're doing this thing called drone orchestration. So welcome, Ed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you. I actually met Ed at AUVSI Exponential on the floor. I met actually his team at the time. We connected afterwards, and I was just like, wow, you guys are doing something really unique that I haven't heard anybody else doing. So before we get into Robotics and drone orchestration, Ed, could you tell us just a little bit about your background, because you've been like a serial entrepreneur in the cyber field before like it was really a thing.
Yeah, I'm the founder of 2 very successful companies in the cybersecurity industry. I'm the founder of Cypher and Blockbit, and a great exit that I did in both of companies. I've been the CEO in the cyber industry for like the last 22 years. And I sold my last company to a huge public traded European company. And I had to be there until December 31st last year, when my lockup period ended. And then again, I was already helping Robotics as a mentor and helping them through the journey, because we have been developing the technology for the last 4 years. So, and I've been talking to them the last 2 years while they're developing the software and mentoring them and all this. And when my time at Cypher ended, they came to me and said, hey, we want you on board. And then I came as an investor, and then I came as a CEO as well, which I love the project so much. So we have been developing this amazing technology for the last 4 years. And for me, coming back to my, early stages as starting a new company and as a founder as well as a co-founder of Robotics, because we just launched in April, is amazing. I'm so happy, and going back to my roots is amazing as well, and I'm sure that Robotics will be as successful as Cypher and Blockbit is. So they are, yeah.
So Ed was actually on the panel that I moderated about drone and technology supporting critical infrastructure. Sean did say, by the way, Ed, that those videos will be available to the public next week. So that's exciting. So everybody's going to get to see what you had to say, Ed, about drone orchestration. But let's give them maybe the 30-second elevator speech on what this concept of drone orchestration is. And then we'll go into a little bit of why you're here at this particular event.
So what I love about what we do is that because in a drone program, you have a lot of moving parts, right? You have from the requests coming from a corporate system to weather, to traffic management system, to collision avoidance systems, right? You have to get lens approval if you don't have the waiver. You have to connect to drone box stations, and you have all these moving parts from a drone program, and we make it easy. We make this whole process of managing your drone program very easy, from managing the request, organizing all the authorization workflow, and doing and helping all this, managing the fleet, and everything correlated, right? So once you create a mission and then you fly a mission and then collect your logs, we make it very simple for you to visualize the whole from the creation to the post-flight data that you generate, both the captured data and captured media, to also all the data, of course, that your drone and all the telemetry that you collect as well, and make it a very easy for you to visualize and very easy dashboard. But we go all the way to the BVLOS. We enable a BVLOS because our platform, we divide in 3 products, right? You have the manage. We help you manage, what I was saying, from the requests, manage the fleet, manage the pilots, manage productivity and performance, and creating the analytics, all the way to flying itself. And so we have our platform, which is a cloud-based platform that you can fly your drone through the cloud. And even, as you know, we have an amazing case in oil and gas industry where we were able to get a BVLOS waiver using our technology to do inspection of very long pipelines in the U.S., where all the operation from the drone is through our platform. So everything integrated, all the collision avoidance systems and everything integrated, so you can fly BVLOS. And we were able to achieve a very, as you know, I cannot disclose yet because the PR is being approved, but we got a waiver in like 1 week and a half with our technology to do so. So we go from the managing your mission to operating your drone, and one-stop shop software for anything you need for drones.
Yeah, so just to foot stomp that, he just said that they got FAA approval for what they're doing in a week and a half. I mean, that's what 4 years of effort gets you, is a week and a half approval by the FAA. So that's almost mind-blowing. The other thing I wanted to just ask you real quick, Ed, before we get into, I think you already alluded to why you're here at EDRC, because the BVLOS and all the things that your technology enables. But we had a question on the Donna drones, and I think I answered it right, but I want to confirm with you. One of the people out in the audience had asked, how do you validate a drone pilot hours? And your technology can do that, right? Yeah. Because you put the planning in, and then it can kind of cross-check what actually occurred with that plan.
Yeah, that's very nice, because once you create a mission, and every data that you collect is correlated, right? So we are able to connect all the data and manage this big data pretty well. So there's a lot of ways of viewing your data and filtering that. And the way we connect, every flight you have is connected to a mission, is connected to a zone, or even a geofencing. And then it's connected to also the logs you collect post-flight. And if you fly ourselves, of course, the log is fully integrated, and also we can import third-party logs from different drone controllers. So we import that and make it very easy for you to visualize who was flying that drone, what drone was flying that mission as well, how long did it take, all the telemetry and everything in one easy dashboard, what kind of media collected through that mission as well. And you see that through time, so we can choose which mission you want to see. You have the flight history, and you choose one by one. And the good thing as well, if you find something very similar later, use that as a template, just create a new mission using every data they already have, so you don't have to recreate that again. So it's very a very easy way to manage all your data, and all aspects of a mission is there. So
that's amazing.
Are there, yeah.
So, okay, we don't want to talk. I don't want you to answer and say, well, our stuff is the best thing I've seen. As you've been walking around, besides your stuff, which is pretty great, What else have you seen? Has anything jumped out at you that either surprised you or you found really interesting, either walking the floor or like in some of the educational sessions?
I'll be honest to you, I was so busy in our booth, and like so
I know you didn't get to leave it, maybe.
But honestly, I didn't, and I just, the only time I was out was during our panel. So I really didn't have the time. So what I find interesting is the interest that people are having with our technology. So we are being very busy, and we have a lot of clients as well on the field as well that come to us, and so we have been very busy. I didn't have the time. I'll try to do that. We are closing.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go because the booths
minutes.
Are getting shut down.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
All right, Ed. Well, how do people reach you? How do they reach Robotics?
Robotics.com. So Robotics. Oops.
The other way.
So Robotics.com and just talk to us. So
awesome. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Great to see you. All right. Let's go with John. We've got John McBride here, fondly known by those in the drone community as the Drone Jesus, due to his flowing locks and physical likeness. So there he is. There he is. So John, welcome.
Well, thank you, Don. As always, happy to be here. Happy to be here at this event. Happy to be here hanging out with you.
And John has a really big announcement. So, when I ask people their duty title, we actually had to write this down. It's so long now. So what is it?
Well, I don't even know. I mean, it starts with vice president.
No, it starts with global.
Yeah. Okay. Let me correct that. It starts with global vice president of training and after sales. So we basically, at Autel, I've been assigned as the director of training. That's what I came on board with a year ago. We've definitely, put this training module into this and the sense that having manufacturer certified training being a very important part of learning about your drone, focusing on the equipment, understanding safety features, any type of issues out there operating. No different than putting it at the level of real manned aircraft. So we have an issue with, I believe, that a lot of the manufacturers don't create a level of training to follow. So I've been basically responsible for that. And with that, this new promotion has allowed a little bit more, power to do a few more things within Autel. We have had a lot of ups and downs with Autel in the last 7 years. Again, I've only been here for 1 year, and I think a lot of the changes that we're seeing out there in the world are starting to be shown. And I'm not saying I'm directly related to that, but I have a great crew, great people here in the United States, as well as the engineers that are working with Autel Robotics.
Well, maybe there was some divine intervention, John. I don't know. I'm just saying. And oh, by the way, we've got some folks out there. Chris Genesith couldn't make it, but he's saying congrats to you, John, and well deserved. Chris Wedgeworth, our buddy who follows like everything we do, is out there giving us the big thumbs up. And Sahil Boy is out there as well, saying good evening from across the globe. So great to see some of y'all out there. By the way, this is live, so feel free to drop some stuff in the chat. Tell us where you're from, ask any questions. But John, so you're obviously, so congratulations, of course.
Thank you.
That's huge. It's good not just for you, for Autel, but for the whole industry, because you and I had a little chat yesterday about the fact that you're really planning to standardize training for Autel products, so that anybody across the globe that opens a box or gets one of your drones will have the exact same training as anywhere else. Yeah, and I think that's huge.
Let's talk about that. So basically, at my former job, Rocky Mountain Unmanned Systems, I was known to put a lot of information out there, training being one of them. Learning about your equipment, like I said, But to be honest with you, a lot of manufacturers, DJI, Hovermap, Intel, they don't really come with a curriculum in which you can focus on basically creating a train. I basically had to make this stuff up. I had to make it up, which basically means that took a lot of time. I worked with the engineers in some cases, depending on the manufacturer, but my training that I do at RMUS was much different than a training done with any other dealer, which was different than this guy, which bought that. So just again, trying to standardize what we look at as being training isn't just something you learn in the parking lot, something that we just get something out of the box and go out there and try to do. It's not that. We are setting the standards. This is an also real honest perspective. I've trained hundreds of people how to fly. And I can assure you, there are some people that should not fly. They should not be flying and operating.
Yeah. I no doubt. Well,
if
maybe
you
this
don't
is,
have a standard,
dude, maybe this is a great segue to the question out there. So Chris Wedgeworth is saying, should we have the trust test info in all drone boxes?
Why not? I mean, training is training.
It's going to cost a little bit of money, though. Like if you have a handout, unless you just do QR code.
We have to get to the point where people aren't buying these expensive, unknown how they're going to work or what they're going to do, how they're going to apply. You know, we've been very solution centric at RMOS. Very a solution, not just a drone you bought. We want to know the whole workflow. We want to know what your workflow is going to be. We want to have a completion of solution. And Autel, you know, I'm driving on this manufacturer side to then, hey, if you don't have an MCOT, we call that the Manufactured Certified Operator Training. If you don't have that as a manufacturer, why don't you? Like, why would you not be giving this ability to have people train with curriculum that you've created, standard and tests that put liability back to the operator, not, hey, well, it just crashed, so it must be Autel's fault. No, I mean, just because Bob in your agency got trained by me, and then Bob goes out and trains a guy, and then that guy trains a guy, and the next guy trains a guy, then you don't have consistency whatsoever. And again, you never know if Bob was even going to be a good pilot in the first place. You know, he could be a terrible pilot and
or Susie. So, let's say there's some women out there that should or should not be flying. So anyway,
and you want to be real about this, you know, and take it serious to that next level. I mean, you're not going to be an astronaut unless you pass the test. You have to pass the test in order to do. So I'm trying to create that, and it's a small start. Got to begin somewhere.
You do.
At a manufacturer level, you know, this is again, if I make it this way, this is the way it's going to be. Love it or hate it, this is the way it's going to be.
Yeah. So let's talk for a second about the fact that Autel is here at the Energy Drone Robotics Coalition Summit, because that's pretty awesome. So like we always say, niches make riches. You know, this is a very niche market, you know, the energy sector. So how do your assets, because I know you have a great presence in public safety, right? With the Dragonfly and some of your other
Dragonfish.
I always say dragon. I'm sorry. I always say Dragonfly. I'm sorry. It's a brain thing. So Dragonfish.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
You know, we have a great, you know, we have products that are very, at least, you know, training aside, very simple to use, understand, get up in the air, reliable. You know, we have that. And public safety absolutely shows their wins when they use drones. However, I've noticed after doing this for, 20 years, a lot of energy people can, a lot of the industry doesn't really like to share that they've got a competitive advantage with the drone, that they're doing something that's saving money over Chevron versus Shell.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't really tell people this.
Yeah.
So coming here to something like this does kind of open that door to have discussion and understanding. Are we making the right stuff? Because we can always have somebody sell something to somebody, and their program goes up for a little while and then it drops down for a little while.
Yeah.
And that's happened a number of times in this oil, gas, energy, However, we've got other companies that I know that have got, 30, 40, 50, 100 pilots. They've got tons of operations going on that are actually capitalizing on the fact that they are winning, if you will. Our presence here is to figure out if our equipment, what we make, fits this category by any means, get some feedback, make sure that we're making what people want, and we listen to those battling companies to figure out what is going to be the best. There's a lot of great stuff here, and I think that's what your next question will be.
It is actually. How did you know? Oh, maybe because there's a little script sitting in front of us, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you're walking around, like what have you seen, John, that's been like, wow, that was cool, I didn't know that thing was out there,
I really don't mean to be a jerk. I really don't. But sometimes I do say, being seen so many shows. I've been a road warrior for the last year.
You've been out about
dozens and dozens of trade shows. And you just kind of see the same old thing. The same old here's another drone that has another thing that has another thing. However, what are the shakers and movers? Who are the people that are making things that might change but have to stick? Where is it? So Air Agility is one of my favorites that I've saw as far as hardware goes. I did see again that the ability for their inspection to be done where we've got a normal way everybody's been doing it for the last XYZ years. Well, let's move the drone. Let's move the lens. We don't have a camera gimbal that's all sensitive, and every time it just touches something, it breaks. The gimbals are very complicated to make work right, and I think that their evolution with that, I'm trying to make that stick on a flow is a inspection with this type of product is super, super innovative.
So I mean, Pramod Raheza was on our critical infrastructure panel with Ed, who you just met. So yeah, they're doing really cool stuff, not only with the drone you're talking about is the Minotaur, and they also have the Kempi, and that is the goddess of war, maybe. No, I don't know. They based them all on Greek mythology. I have to look it up now, but it's Kempe, and they have a really cool, it's like horseshoe crab shaped drone that's a counter drone effector. So they're doing cool stuff.
Yeah, right across the booth from me, I can't remember the name, but they have a sensor that actually touches up against the wall, and they also have an articulating drone that again just changes the dynamic of just being a normal multi-rotor where we don't have 4 and 4.
Yeah,
the Dragonfish is not a normal design. It's much different than what we see. So this again, impressive on how the designs are now complementing and not just taking a normal multi-rotor with a camera and let's just do this, but trying to complement the absolute difficulty in which drones have challenges to buy a physical design to be able to move into other places. I think that's neat to see. And I'm a dork anyway of seeing that kind of stuff.
You are a dork, but we love you. All right. So what was my other question?
Yes, I use Pantene.
And okay, here it is. How do people reach you, John? Now with your new fancy title and corner office or something.
You can ping me on Messenger if you want to get a hold of me individually. Everybody does. You can also, I'm really bad on LinkedIn. I think I sent that yesterday. Terrible. There's so many messages I need to catch up on LinkedIn. But overall, autelrobotics.com if you have some general information. But my email, jmcbride@autelrobotics.com. Again, jmcbride@autelrobotics.com.
All right. Well, thank you kindly, good sir.
Yeah.
Great
absolutely.
to see you as usual.
Always. Yeah, I'm trying to make it look as nice as you.
I know.
Yeah,
well, you don't have the curls, my friend.
If I stay here a
Maybe
week in Houston,
it'll
definitely start curling.
You need a little bit of highlighting too.
All
right. See you, buddy.
Okay.
All right. We will take Maggie. We're doing Don Bershoff next. He's furiously writing notes. I don't know why. This man can talk weather in his sleep. If you don't know him yet, he was also on my panel yesterday for critical infrastructure. And Don Bershoff is the CEO of True Weather Solutions, doing incredible things. We finally refer to him as the Weather Don for a reason. This man was a senior executive service employee in the National Weather Service, and before that had a stellar career in the United States Air Force, retired as a colonel, was a commander downrange in combat zones, and a weather guy through and through. So welcome, Don.
Well, thank you as always, but I'll tell you why I was writing notes feverishly.
Oh no, here we go.
I was listening to Ed and Jim, right? And I'm sitting there thinking,
hey, Jim.
John.
Okay, I'm like, who is Jim?
And I'm sitting there thinking.
You just call him Jesus. It's fine.
Yeah, Jesus. I was sitting there listening to Jesus, which is probably a good thing to do, right?
Yeah, and especially for the weather.
Right.
I mean, it's like, hey, what's it going to be today?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, we've spent hundreds. I'm going to read my notes because this is all fresh out of the brain. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on engineering this complex system of systems, right? Each component finely tuned like a Swiss watch. Okay. Everybody's talking about the comms having to do this and the remote ID doing that. And then UTM's grabbing all this data and doing all this deconfliction, and these drones that have to be able to fly and communicate, and everything is done down to precision. Then enters weather. Right? System operators, they pick their weather providers like they pick their hairstylists, how good they look.
No, like people that care about their hair, that's a very serious decision.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. This is shout out to Riley the barber who does make
I'm
magic.
thinking of my hair. All right.
Okay.
I meant my hair, right?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
All right. All they do is take a number 3 and it's done.
There
Right?
you go.
So yeah, all right. But my point is that everything's about in weather how good the data is. How do you know how good your data is? How do you know that app you're looking at with the pretty pictures has any validity behind it? You know, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But yet it looks pretty, so it must be good, right? And the thing is that most of this stuff out there is not tuned for low altitude weather. It's unverifiable. It's not trusted because there is no data in the low altitude. Everything we're using is model based. And so this, if we're really gonna, you know, we want to put our weather data into a Swiss watch, we've got to lift the value, you know, that data has to become better. Otherwise it becomes the weakest link in the whole chain. It's like building a tight security system and leaving the back gate open. All right. And then being surprised when somebody walks off the street and pulls the outlet plug on everything and everything goes down because you've spent $1 billion on this complex system and it was something as simple as that. So I think what I really want to get through here is that, you know, once all the engineering is done, once the policy's in place, once Jim does all the training of his pilots.
John,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
John, once Jesus,
I call his thing the dragon fly, and it's the dragon fish.
Right.
It's good.
So, all right, once Jesus, you know, finally picks his flock of pilots and trains them properly and gets rid of the ones that won't be able to operate. Once all that's done, every go, no-go decision comes from something that's uncertain, non-tuned, free, by the way, and free is not
you
good.
Get what you pay for.
Get what you pay for,
including for your hair.
And, right. And you're putting it in this system and wondering why everything's falling apart.
Well, hey, let's talk for a second because you had some great statistics in our panel about the number of missions that are scrubbed because of weather that don't necessarily need to be.
Right.
Like, what's that number?
30% of all manned missions today, manned aircraft flown missions that are
crewed either way.
Or crewed, yeah, crewed. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm doing horrible today. I'm stepping all over Jesus. I'm disrespecting Jesus. I'm disrespecting women.
It's okay.
I think I've just got only 10 people out there that listen to me.
Jesus and women, you know.
Yeah, that's not good. So, but no, the bottom line is that 30% of those missions that are canceled or delayed due to weather could have flown. And this is a very, system that has a lot of instrumentation around airports, a lot of focus. But the problem is there are some really tough weather phenomena that impact aviation, like icing in clouds, turbulence, winds aloft. You can't see.
Or even weather over open ocean, because we've been hearing a lot at this conference about this idea of kind of port to ship, cargo delivery. And that's going to inject a whole bunch of different levels of uncertainty, I think, into those operations.
I was having conversations with folks. I was trying to explain to them, if you're using your weather app for that, there's no marine information coupled into that information. So when you get down below 400 feet above the Gulf of Mexico and you're flying 25 miles, there's all kinds of ocean air interactions that we don't even have modeled. And so, what I do, and this is the truth, this is not selling here, this is education, is I know this because I was the science and technology director. So I know that coupling ocean and atmosphere is very important when you're flying at 400 feet. And I have companies that I work with that are the best in the world at ocean modeling. And we're going to bring them into this equation. We also need sensors out there. We need to measure. And then we'll be able to get some certainty around this to make sure that, we're not unnecessary grounding. But more importantly, that's a long distance to lose a $250,000 asset, right?
Oh my gosh, especially, imagine that Scorpion or something, the thing that, that giant. So, Don, that's probably a great segue. Why you're here at the EDRC summit, because, some folks are like, they're kind of selling their product. It almost seems like you're still you're building this kind of ecosystem. You're finding people that can maybe place these sensors out there to collaborate with you in some manner. So tell us why you're here.
Well, there's, the first thing you have to do when you're trying to solve the weather challenge and to really serve a complex systems with value information is you got to understand what the data sources are that are available today. And not all of them are equal. So you got to kind of pick and choose through them. And that's what True Weather does, because we have 40 years experience also being overseas and flying in combat zones with limited data and we're used to doing this, right? So we've picked the best combinations of public and private data, and we mix that into our API. So we have a SaaS API today that's better than, I would say, most everything on the market, but it's not where I want it to be. The way we get it to where we want it to be is we get more data. That's the only way. People talk about machine learning. If just ask them, are you using a model, historical model to machine learn, or are you using real data? And because if you're using a model, you're already introducing error into your machine learning model before you even run it. Wow. So we got to get real data. And so we have 6 sensor providers that we work with. We're launching the first weather instrumented drone in North America on a regular basis, starting in fall at Grand Sky with Tom Sawyer. And what we're going to do there is, the first problem there is that 30% of all the high flying Reaper missions are canceled due to forecast icing in the wintertime, in the whole year, actually.
Grand Forks, yeah.
So what we're doing is we're going to fly this drone and see if it's really there. If it's not there, we're going to rerun the forecast, run on 1 kilometer resolution. We're going to get them out, right? So that's how you reduce that 30%. We have 2 scanning wind LiDARs under NASA now at Hampton, and we're going to have winds, an MRI of winds over a 40-kilometer area, 6,000 feet high, 10-meter resolution. We're going to see every perturbation in the atmosphere in real time. And we're going to demonstrate what that does to your predictability and reliability. And we also have some other sensors that we could put out in the Gulf of Mexico on the oil rigs. We want to get weather scouts out there that can fly these routes before they're starting their flight or other thing. This is what I did in the Air Force back in 1980s. It's coming back because you're trying to get more reliability in the weather. So that's what we do. And then we integrate that into our APIs and feed it back to our customers, so they don't have to worry about the integration. They just got to say, yeah, we'll pay for that sensor. We'll pay for your service. Get me set up. We then integrate it into that complex system of systems, like Ed, in his orchestration. Yep. He gets a better data set in his orchestration. We've now removed the weakest pole in the tent, and you're now going to get a better result.
Absolutely. So you've been walking the floor, because I know you have. You've never been at your booth. You've got Jason there. Poor guy.
No time to eat, Jason.
He's amazing, though. He helped me actually set up my booth, and I'm super thankful. But yeah. You've been walking around. So what interesting thing have you seen, Don, here?
Well, I think very interested in what Volantis is doing. Volantis is doing. Yeah, they got really some really cool stuff. They're hydrogen with the Doosan.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Doosan for a while. Iris Automation, we're working closely with them. We're actually continuing to talk about how to get our sensors co-located with the Cassia G and how they're going to offer our services to their services. We had really good talks with Ed and how we can help him. I think what I'm seeing right now is people recognize whether, it's been 4 years, Dawn. And, when I first came out and started talking about this, people just didn't understand why it was important. And, they said, oh, you're somebody that's just looking for a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Well, now they're coming to me and saying, hey,
you were right.
We've flown enough. We get it at scale. This is going to be it's going to be a cost to us that we don't want. We want to get more money per asset. We don't want to be sitting on the ground. We have to make money. And it's really rewarding to me to see now, and we're in a good position to help everybody. If we hadn't done this, everybody would be 4 years behind.
Yeah, for sure.
Because everyone would be going, oh, we have a weather problem. And it was 2022. It would be 2026 now before, we would have any way to really start dealing with it. So that's what I'm seeing when I talk to people out there.
Yeah, awesome. So how can people get in touch with you after the show?
Well, you can always write to me directly at don.berchoff, BERCHOFF at trueweathersolutions.com. No E in true, TRUW. And, you can always drop a contact form on our website and it'll get to us and we'll get it out to our great folks. My team is really strong. We got 26 now in the company. And Annie Wright is one of my key.
I love Annie. People. It's like, Annie, get your gun. I mean, she was like the weather gal for the freaking special ops guys. I mean, she is hardcore. She's really amazing. Hardcore. Yeah.
And so I've hired is a lot of former military that get the ops side and get the data denial side where, they're all used to working without good weather data. And, the problem we have today is we have a lot of trained people in weather that come out and they just read models. And that's what you're getting when you subscribe to any other service, you're just getting a weather model, which isn't necessarily accurate. Our guys are trained, and we're also offering forecast meteorologists as a consulting service to live for live decisions. And we're building this because we know there's a gap there that's going to have to be filled. And Annie's one of them, and Gary Graff, and Mike Hunter. And it's a really strong team.
Yeah, you got a great team.
Yeah. So we're really, and thank you for being an early believer.
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't know. I just look around and I see these amazing companies and I'm like, this is going to be big. This is going to be something. And when I talked to you, Don, I knew that. When I talked to Ed, and his team, I knew that. And so thank you for what you're doing for the industry, and great to have you back.
Thank you so much.
All right, man. Good luck. Have a great rest of your show.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
You too. Last but not least, my partner in crime on my clubhouse called Drone Law Connections, which is every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, the incredible Maggie Schuster. Yay!
Hey,
Maggie is here. I'm wonderful, Maggie. So Maggie, tell, people, many people, maybe even some watching right now, have heard your voice. They've seen you with the North Central Texas Council of Governments Know Before You Fly Your Drone workshops that you do monthly. But tell them a little bit about yourself. You're a drone pilot. Most people don't know, by the way, she's an incredible artist. She has so many different talents, but tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I got into this industry as a catastrophic adjuster. And that requires, when there's a storm, a windstorm specifically, or a hailstorm, you climb up a roof and you do an inspection. And one of the biggest issues is insurance adjusters actually falling off the roof, falling off the ladder.
Oh my gosh.
And I saw the connection. One of the adjusters brought it, hey, I'm going to buy this drone. And he started talking about it. I got really excited. And at the time, this was about 7 years ago, the insurance companies were really not, quote, on board yet. And so I went ahead and actually in the Woodlands, I took this conference, not this conference, but a different one, to learn how to fly, what it would take to own a business with the drone and so forth. So that's how I got involved in it. Took the test myself, never had any aviation experience whatsoever. So it was an intense 107 test, but I took it because I think it was the first year that they even offered it.
Wow.
Before it was the 333.
Yeah.
So I took it, and my very first job was flying in Fort Stockton. There was a huge vineyard, and that was my first job, is taking flight and showing the actual harvest machine harvesting these grapes by vibrating. And I actually got to shoot right above it to show the actual operation of this machine. It was really amazing. It was one of my favorite.
Cool.
And actually PBS took my footage and used it for one of their programs. So I was really excited about
Famous right from the start.
Yeah, really cool.
So you have your own company now. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we've done, and when I say we,
what's it called?
It's called UAS Plus Services. And so for the service part of it, it's both drone services and then also education. The drone services, I work with Evan Morelli, well, for both, actually. We do real estate, we do inspections. So one of the biggest, inspecting the city of Chicago, Lake Michigan, and the erosion there.
Wow.
We've done a lot, crane work and such. But it's kind of evolved from there. It's evolved into education, talking about it, talking about what we do, looking forward. This is one of the conferences that I absolutely love because I've learned so much. Can I tell you a little bit of the history of coming here?
Yeah.
I've been here, I think this is the 5th conference I've been. The very first
this energy conference.
Yes, energy conference. Yeah. The very first conference, Flight Safety had a program right before all the seminars started. And I learned how important an SOP is, safety operation protocol, basically. And I was with all these oil and gas people. And when I say that, Shell, Exxon, everything, they were here. And at the time, they knew that the capabilities, but quite weren't on board. Then they were hiring their safety operators to actually fly the drones. Yeah. And they found that a lot of the employees didn't even want to do this.
Mm,
And then,
interesting.
yeah. And so they first had to get a safety program, a drone program within the company. And then they realized, well, maybe we need to hire people that know how to operate the drone, but work side by side with the safety operations and so forth to see exactly what they need to capture. From then to today, the things that I've really learned is LiDAR and 3D modeling and sensors are the biggest thing and the most important thing when it comes to energy and what they're needing at this time. Saving lives, keeping people, human beings safe. Well, it's not about replacing. It's about keeping humans safe.
Absolutely.
And efficiency, yes, it's very important. They can get jobs done. They can go and they don't have to stop the whole operation to actually get the footage that they need, the data that they need to be able to continue with their work. So I think those are the things that I really found the difference between five years ago till now. The other thing that I found that it just because it's drones, I'm seeing drones bigger. I'm seeing sensors more capable. But if you don't start with like True Weather, or you're not like Ed's company where it's all about safety and working together, then you're going to spend a lot more money and a lot more time that you don't need to. Yeah. So those are the things that I really brought. And I was just looking at some of the other ones.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting, Maggie, to get your perspective because, you've seen this evolution over the last 5 years. Sean Gare was on the Dawn of Drones today, and he talked a little bit about even just from last year. I know COVID had a big impact, right? But between last year and this year, the floors doubled. The number of attendees have doubled. And these use cases that you just said, the sensors, the different sensors, right. The use cases, the ground robots, the maritime or, submersibles as he calls them, all incredible. So really, really cool. And I think you alluded to this, but this idea of dull, dirty, dangerous. But when you think about the energy sector, add another D, deadly, deadly jobs.
From the very beginning.
Do you remember last night? I forget who we were Maggie and I were talking to somebody, and they were saying there were these tanks that these folks would have to go into to inspect, but because of the fumes, if they were in there for more than a few seconds, they would drop. And then the next person would go in there to rescue them. And then they would drop. Yeah. And they said there was, this was just a few years ago.
12 people
died in one incident.
And this is not,
this isn't the United States. No, this is like a few years ago.
Yeah, but this isn't 20 years ago. This is just a few years ago. So we're still trying to understand the technology and the dangers that, like you said, deadly dangers that still exist that are easily solved by this technology.
Yeah, drones, robots, all of it. So very cool.
And the other thing I wanted to talk, Sean has done a really great job of bringing this conference together. I would recommend this conference even over the commercial drone. And the only reason I say that is because this is a lot more intimate. You really get to talk to the industry here. You get to talk to the people that lead these companies, these CEOs and these pilots that are actually in the trenches doing this. A lot of times it gets so busy, but this is really a neat opportunity.
It is a unique opportunity. You know what I would say, Maggie? I'd say if you can afford to go to all of them, go to all of them, right? If you're in this industry. Yes. The other thing I'd say is that, they're all these conferences are different. I think sometimes even amongst the conference planners, there's this view like, oh, there are direct competition. I would say no. Like, I don't know of any one conference that I've attended that is a direct competitor with another because they all have a slightly different angle and nuance, a little bit of a different crowd, a little bit of a different focus. And clearly this is energy sector focused. So, and it's such, an incredible sector that is going to continue to grow. I mean, people might say oil and gas, where's that going in the future? But as Sean said, we're talking about renewables too. I mean, we're not talking about just gas and oil. We're talking about the full spectrum of what this is going to be. And people are always going to need power. They're always going to need energy. And when you think about what drones and robots can bring to that equation, it's huge. And the opportunities are equally huge. By the way, Maggie, Chris Wedgeworth is out there saying hello to you.
Oh,
So,
hi, Chris.
hey, Chris.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Can I tell you one other takeaway
Yeah,
that
real
I didn't
quick,
even
yeah.
think about is the non-disclosure, that there
Yes.
are so many companies that are, can't talk about what they're doing.
We heard that today, just
And-
with like a couple of
yeah.
our speakers, like
And-
in this 1 hour.
Yeah, and so important that we're able to stop putting all these caps or restrictions on non-disclosure, because you were talking about the different conferences and how they all have their qualities, they all have their reasons for attending. It's the same thing with companies. One company like True Weather can really help another company, get their performance up even higher, because they know exactly when they can fly and when they can't fly, and it's true to the time that they're going.
Yes.
But the non-disclosure, there are so many wonderful ideas out there. There's so many great progression when it comes to technology, but if they're not able to share it, they're not able to talk about it. It really, I think it's crippling this industry.
Well, it does, and it's funny you say that, Maggie. I don't think you were reading we're by the way, fun fact, we are rooming together. She wasn't reading my article that I'm writing for Drone Life right now, but that's one of the things I mentioned is this idea, and it was actually Census Technologies.
Mhm.
I forget his first name, the CEO.
Yeah, I can't think of.
I'm sorry. But anyway, Census Technologies, he was on this panel with John Damish, and the Beyond Visual Line of Sight panel was talking about this, the story. Everybody agrees public acceptance requires storytelling of good stories. And if you're precluded from doing that with a non-disclosure agreement, or like, hey, this is proprietary, we can't talk about it, that inhibits the ability to really get that word out in a way that's not just, again, FUBU, for us, by us talking to ourselves about ourselves.
Right.
We need to get that word out. And Maggie, you're doing a great job of that. So let's, as we kind of get to the end of this hour and closing this out, what do we hope to expect from you in the future? Because you've got some great things in the pipeline.
Yeah, well,
no pun intended.
No,
in the
it's
pipeline.
not
Get it?
The know before you fly your drone. I still want to continue that, on a monthly basis, offering it to a free audience. But I feel like I'm moving more with that to answer the public's what do you call it, when they want to see more of it, and that's about the services. There are a lot of people out there that are just starting this business. I'm telling you that there's a place for you, and so that I want to offer some education, so that, hey, how do I get into this business, and who do I need to talk to, and what kind of skill sets do I need, and so forth. So I think that that's going to be really important. The other thing that I'm working on right now is the Drone Soccer League, trying to get it here in America. I'm working with Kyle Sanders and David Roberts and Sam Scully in LA, and we're trying to spread the word that there's a great gateway for our youth to get into this industry by getting involved in programs like Drone Soccer. And every Tuesday at noon on Clubhouse, I talk about what you can do to get your schools, to get your clubs. And by the way, this is a great opportunity for, like, if you're trying to do some team building within your corporation, this is a great thing to do too, because they have to cooperate.
Could you imagine, like, hey,
Yes.
everybody, we're doing the Drone Soccer League tonight. So question.
Kind of like pickleball. You know how pickleball is
yeah,
really
it
popular
actually
now?
has taken off.
Similar.
My young adult son was playing it the other day, and we're like,
Yes.
isn't that for like older people? He's like, no, man, like
No.
pickleball is awesome. So question.
Yes.
Tuesday, what time is that clubhouse and what's it called?
It is called US Drone Soccer Leagues, and it's on Clubhouse. There's actually a Clubhouse. Just follow me, and it's at noon Central Time.
All
And
right.
I'm doing that every time, because with this popularity, there's a World's Game in Birmingham that's coming up at the 1st of July. And then in Colorado Springs, there is going to be their first major tournament. And to keep a perspective, there's only like 4 or 5 staff members, and so it's really hard to get a hold of them. But this is a great opportunity. It's free. You can talk and ask the questions that you have to get involved on Clubhouse. So
yeah, and that's probably, again, maybe a great way to end. You can also follow me and Maggie on Clubhouse on Drone Law Connections. Like I said, every Thursday. Tomorrow, actually at noon Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, we're going to have Julie Garland from AvTrain. She's in Ireland, doing incredible beyond visual line of sight
and we both met her through
operations.
Clubhouse.
We actually met
the
Julie in
opportunities
Clubhouse.
That you have with Clubhouse, you can talk to people from India and
The
Australia.
connections
and
are incredible.
Ireland, yes, it's great.
Yes, it's incredible. One last thing, this is a Full Crew episode. Please, please, please follow us on Full Crew. Me and Mike Peel have started this new newscast, and we also have the Full Tilt, which is tech industry leadership talks. Follow us on those Monday, Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Eastern. And of course, we still are continuing the Donna Drones podcast every Wednesday at that same time, but that one's on Drone Life. So join fullcrew.io. Follow us there. And
I really want to turn the tables a little bit.
Uh-oh.
What did you get out of this conference?
Wow. In the last 20 seconds before we say,
just really quick.
Wow. What I got out of this conference was how this drones and robots are really, no pun, they're taking off. And like you said, you saw the evolution, but to see the level of participation, the companies that were here, and as you mentioned, the oil and gas professionals that were here taking it all in, because it's a thing now. It's not like, hey, we need to convince people this is a good idea.
It's cool now, and you don't have to be a nerd to love it.
No, it's like, this is actually making a difference. It's saving lives. It's more efficient. It's saving money for businesses. And now it's a matter of evolving those use cases, the better sensors, the ship to port, port to ship operations, and that middle mile cargo delivery. That's going to be the next big thing. So much. I've learned so much here, and I've met so many people. And I wanted to thank you, Maggie, too, for helping me in my booth and helping me. And April is out there saying hello and thank you.
What are you going to be doing next year here at the Energy?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So super quick.
Yes.
Thank you. Maggie's just trying to help me out. We talked about it on the Donna Drones, but we're going to be doing the Law Tech Connect workshop here in conjunction with Special Energy Edition here at EDRC in Houston on Monday, June 12th. So mark your calendars now, because it's going to be specialized content for the law, regulation, and policy that applies to this technology as applicable to the energy sector. So when you think about methane, operations, now drones and robots are helping there. Well, what are the rules? Like what is the compliance requirement? And same thing with nukes and with maritime operations. We heard, what if one of them falls out of the sky and into the sea, that there's X amount of time where you have to retrieve it. Is that true? Is that urban legend? I don't know. But you know what? Next year, we're going to be talking about it on the maritime panel at my workshop. So be there. So, all right, everybody. I think that's all she wrote, Maggie. What do you think?
Thank you
so much, everybody. Fly safe.
See us at
drive
the Clubhouse,
safe. Fly right.
See us at the podcast. See us at the workshops. We'd love to have you
Absolutely.
participate.
Thank you all. Bye.